6, we are now waiting a judge's decision as a former St. Louis City Sheriff's deputy requests a restraining order against Sheriff Alfred Montgomery. That's Sheriff Montgomery right there walking out of the St. Louis County Courts building just a few hours ago. Montgomery's former deputy, Daryl Wilson, is asking the judge to grant a restraining order. Wilson now works for the St. Louis County Sheriff's Office. Wilson says for the second time now since he left the city sheriff's office, Montgomery has shown up at his new job. Wilson claims his former boss is harassing him. Montgomery took to the stand today saying he was visiting the county sheriff about Wilson allegedly horseplaying in city government buildings and recruiting deputies to the county. Now, if a restraining order is granted, there are questions about if that affects the sheriff's ability to carry a gun. And First Alert 4 Investigates asked Sheriff Montgomery's legal counsel if Montgomery should have to surrender his firearm. He declined to comment on that. As for Wilson's attorney, he says that decision is up to the judge. Montgomery's attorney filed a motion to dismiss. The judge will make a decision on this later this week. We have some